It is easy to imagine your mental life as something you control, but psychology paints a very different picture. Tonight, we are drifting through the vast architecture of human behavior to uncover the silent forces that shape your world while you sleep. If you enjoy these gentle journeys, I invite you to like, subscribe, or share a thought below. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. But for now, all you need to do is relax. Allow your body to soften. Allow your breathing to slow. Let the day fade away as we explore these wonders of the mind.
People can feel strongly about certain memories that never happened. It is a quiet, startling truth that confidence is a feeling, not a truth meter. A false memory can arrive in the mind with the same warmth, the same fine detail, and the same emotional punch as a real one, because the brain builds both with the exact same tools. Give someone a few believable cues, a family story told by a trusted relative, a familiar setting from their childhood, or a fragment of an old photograph, and the mind may supply the rest later, weaving a tapestry of events that never took place. The person might remember the texture of the clothing they wore, the exact words spoken in a room, or even the smell of rain on the pavement, yet none of it was ever there. This is not lying. It is the imagination doing its job too well, then being misfiled as history. Inside the sanctuary of the mind, the storyteller is always at work, trying to make the past feel coherent and safe, even if it has to bridge the gaps with beautiful, convincing fictions. This process is known as constructive memory. When you look back at your life, you aren't pressing play on a stored video, you are rebuilding a scene from scattered pieces. Psychologists like Elizabeth Loftus have shown us just how malleable these pieces can be. In her famous research on misinformation effect, she demonstrated that even the smallest change in how we describe an event can rewrite the memory itself. If you ask someone how fast two cars were going when they smashed into each other, they will later remember broken glass that wasn't there. If you use a gentler word like contacted, the glass vanishes from their mind. The words we use to describe our history act like a sculptor's tool, shaving away the edges of truth and replacing them with the shapes of our expectations. Your memory is not a vault, it is a living document, constantly being edited, updated, and refined by the present moment. Beyond the words we hear, our memories are also shaped by the schemas we carry, the mental maps of how the world should work. If we remember a trip to a library, our brain might automatically insert the image of dusty books or a quiet librarian, even if that specific library was modern and loud. We fill the voids of our past with the logic of our present. This is why two siblings can share a childhood, yet remember two entirely different lives. One may recall a home filled with sunlight and laughter, while the other remembers long shadows and silence. Neither is necessarily wrong. They are simply reconstructing their history through the lens of their own unique emotional journey. The brain prefers a story that fits our current identity over a record that is perfectly accurate. It wants to believe that who we are today is who we have always been, smoothing over the contradictions of our past to give us a sense of steady, unchanging self. There is a profound vulnerability in this, but there is also a hidden beauty. The same system that allows for false memories is the system that allows us to imagine a future. Memory and imagination are two sides of the same coin, using the same neural pathways to simulate what has been and what could be. By breaking our experiences into small, flexible fragments, the brain gives us the power to rearrange them, to dream and to plan. If our memories were rigid, unchangeable recordings, we would be trapped by our past. Instead, we are gifted with a mind that can learn from what never happened to prepare us for what might. As you lie here, feel the lightness that comes with knowing your story is still being written. The past is not a heavy chain, it is a collection of soft, shifting colors, a sunset that changes every time you stop to admire it. Sometimes these false memories are born from the sheer repetition of a thought. The more we revisit an idea, the more fluent it becomes in the mind. Fluency feels like truth. This is why a dream you had as a child can sometimes feel like a real event that occurred in your backyard. The brain remembers the feeling of the dream so vividly that it eventually loses the dream label and moves the experience into the folder of real-life history. Psychologists call this source misattribution, remembering the content of a thought but forgetting where it came from. It is a reminder that our inner world is just as real to our nervous system as the outer world. The feelings you experience while dreaming or imagining are made of the same stardust as the feelings you have while awake. Your mind is a vast, borderless ocean where the waves of reality and the tides of imagination constantly mingle. As you drift, your brain is performing a process called consolidation, turning the day's fleeting moments into long-term knowledge. During this quiet transition, the mind is busy sorting, filing, and integrating new data with what you already know. It's a delicate dance of neurobiology, but this integration can also lead to the creation of new links that weren't there before. As the brain tries to find meaning in the chaos of life, it might accidentally stitch together two separate events into one single powerful memory. You might remember a kind word from a friend and associate it with a beautiful afternoon in the park, even if the word was spoken weeks later on a rainy street. The brain cares more about the meaning of the connection than the accuracy of the calendar. It is building a map of significance, prioritizing the lessons of the heart over the data of the clock. For some, this realization might feel unsettling, but in the stillness of the night, it can be a great comfort. It means that the heavy moments you carry, the regrets that feel so solid and sharp, may not be as permanent as they seem. They are reconstructions, shaped by the stress and the perspective of the person you were back then. As you grow, as you find more peace and more wisdom, the way you rebuild those memories will change. The sharp edges will soften, the shadows will retreat. You have the power to revisit your history with the kindness of your present self, allowing the storyteller in your mind to weave a narrative of resilience instead of one of loss. You are not a prisoner of what happened. You are the curator of a gallery that is always evolving, always finding new light. In legal settings, we often treat eyewitness testimony as the ultimate proof, yet psychology shows us that the most confident witnesses can often be the most mistaken. Their certainty is real, but it is a product of how many times they have retold the story, not how clearly they saw the face. Every retelling is a rehearsal that strengthens the current version of the memory, even if that version has drifted far from the original truth. This is why the legal system is learning to be cautious, realizing that the human mind is a persuasive instrument that can convince even itself. It is a reminder to hold our own certainties with a gentle hand. To be wise is to recognize that our perspective is always a work in progress, a beautiful, imperfect guess at the nature of reality. As your breathing grows even slower, notice how the boundaries of your own memory are beginning to blur. The events of your day are starting to lose their sharp lines, turning into a soft, hazy glow. This is the mind's way of preparing you for rest, letting go of the need to keep everything in its right place. You are drifting away from the world of facts and figures and moving into the world of pure sensation. The weight of your history is lifting, leaving you with nothing but the steady, rhythmic pulse of the present moment. The storyteller is putting down the pen, the sculptor is resting the tool, the gallery is closing its doors for the night, leaving the masterpieces of your life to rest in the quiet dark. The mind hates uncertainty so much that it will invent a reason for anything just to feel at peace. If we encounter a gap in our understanding, a hidden cause, or a sudden change we can't explain, the brain immediately goes to work creating a bridge. It would rather have a shaky, invented answer than no answer at all. This craving for closure is what drives us to find patterns in the stars and meaning in coincidences. It is a survival mechanism, a way for the social animal to feel like the world is a predictable, manageable place. Even now, as you unwind, your brain is quietly assuring you that everything is in its place, that the story of your life makes sense, and that you are exactly where you are meant to be. There is a deep biological.
Imagine walking into a room with a small stain on your shirt. It can feel as if everyone's eyes snap to it instantly, as if the mistake is loud, as if the world has suddenly narrowed down to that one tiny imperfection. You might find yourself adjusting your posture, crossing your arms, or seeking the shadows, convinced that you are the subject of a silent collective judgment. This is the spotlight effect, a psychological phenomenon where we believe that others are paying far more attention to us, to our appearance, our flaws, and our mistakes than they actually are. It is a heavy, invisible weight that many of us carry through our social lives, a persistent feeling that we are under a bright, unforgiving light while the rest of the world watches from the darkness. But the truth hidden in the quiet data of human behavior is far more comforting. Most of the time, people barely register the things we agonize over. They are not looking at the stain on your shirt. They are far too busy managing their own worries, their own appearance, and their own intricate inner monologues. The spotlight effect happens because you live at the very center of your own experience. From the moment you wake until the moment you close your eyes, you are the protagonist of your own story. Your brain treats your actions as the main storyline, the high-definition footage of your life. Because you are always present for your own thoughts and feelings, you naturally assume that others are watching the same way you are. This is known in psychology as egocentrism, not in the sense of being conceited, but in the sense of being biologically anchored to your own perspective. It is an ancient cognitive bias, a leftover piece of mental architecture that once helped our ancestors stay attuned to their social standing within small, tight-knit tribes. In the wild, being noticed for the wrong reasons could mean social exclusion, which was a genuine threat to survival. But in our modern, sprawling world, this ancient alarm system often rings in an empty room. Think back to the last time you were out in a crowded public place. Do you remember the faces of the strangers you passed? Can you recall a single mistake someone else made, a tripped step, a fumbled word, or a mismatched pair of socks? The chances are you cannot.
The vast majority of people are simply moving through their own day, caught in the gravity of their own concerns. They are planning their weekend, listening to a podcast, or perhaps worrying about a small stain on their own shirt. When you realize that everyone else is also standing in their own perceived spotlight, the light on you begins to soften. It dims from a harsh searchlight into a gentle ambient glow. You are not being scrutinized. You are simply part of the beautiful, messy, and largely unnoticed background of someone else's journey. The spotlight effect is often amplified by what psychologists call the illusion of transparency. This is the mistaken belief that our inner states, our nervousness, our excitement, or our guilt are manifest for all to see. When you feel your heart racing before a speech, you assume the audience can see your hands shaking or hear the tremor in your voice. But research shows that our internal feelings are much more hidden than we think. We are like a house with thick curtains. While a storm may be raging inside, to a passerby on the street, the windows remain calm and still. Your anxiety is a private weather system that stays within your own borders. Recognizing this illusion allows you to breathe more deeply, knowing that the poise you project is often all that the world ever sees. In a famous study involving the spotlight effect, researchers asked participants to wear a t-shirt with a potentially embarrassing image and walk into a room full of people. The participants were convinced that at least half of the observers would notice the shirt and judge them for it. In reality, fewer than 10% of the observers could even recall what was on the shirt a short time later. The vast gap between what we perceive and what is real is vast. We are our own harshest critics, magnifying our slip-ups under a microscope, while the rest of the world views us through a wide-angle lens. Your mistakes are like a single wrong note played in a vast symphony. While you may hear it clearly, the audience is simply enjoying the music. This bias can make social life feel harsher than it is, creating a barrier that stops you from speaking up, wearing what you truly like, or taking the small risks that lead to growth. We often avoid the dance floor because we fear the judgment of the crowd, forgetting that the crowd is mostly thinking about how they look while they dance. We hold back a joke because we fear it might not land, not realizing that a moment later the silence will be forgotten. The relief of understanding the spotlight effect is real and profound. It is the realization that you have a much greater degree of freedom than you once thought. You are allowed to be imperfect. You are allowed to be human. You are allowed to move through the world with the lightness of someone who knows that they are not being graded at every turn. As you drift deeper into the quiet of the night, let this truth settle into your bones. Most people are not judging you. They are being you in their own heads. They are navigating their own spotlights, fighting their own shadows, and seeking their own sense of belonging. When you release the need to be perfectly seen, you gain the ability to be truly yourself. The pressure to perform for an imaginary audience begins to dissolve, leaving behind a clear, open space where you can simply exist. The eyes you imagine on you are just reflections of your own self-consciousness, and as you close your eyes now, those reflections fade away. The world remains steady and kind, a place where you are accepted not for the lack of flaws, but for the quiet courage of your presence. Evolutionarily, social anxiety and the spotlight effect served a purpose. They were the guardrails of the group, ensuring that we remained cooperative and sensitive to the needs of the tribe. But in the stillness of your room tonight, those guardrails are no longer needed. You are in a safe haven where no judgment can reach you. The social math of the day is over. The ledgers of how you were perceived are closed. Your worth is not a tally of how many people noticed your successes or ignored your failures. It is something deeper, something that exists in the quiet rhythm of your breath and the steady beat of your heart. You are a vital thread in the fabric of the universe, and a thread does not need to be seen to hold the whole together. Consider the freedom that comes with being forgotten. In a world that often demands we be noticed, there is a sacred peace in the realization that we are mostly anonymous. You can walk down a street and be a ghost, a passing thought, a brief flash of color in a stranger's eye. This anonymity is not a lack of importance, it is a lack of burden. It is the permission to explore, to make mistakes, and to change your mind without the world demanding an explanation. You are the master of your own privacy, the keeper of a world that belongs only to you. The spotlight has been turned off, and in its place is the cool, comforting dark of a night that asks nothing of you. As the day's worries lose their grip, imagine your social anxieties as small birds flying away into the distance. They are leaving the spotlight behind, seeking the quiet trees where they can rest. The room you are in is filled with a soft, protective silence. There is no stage here. There are no critics. There is only the gentle, unhurried passage of time. You have done enough today. You have been seen enough. You have thought enough about the eyes of others. Now turn your gaze inward to the quiet landscapes of your own imagination, where the only light is the one you choose to carry. The spotlight effect is a reminder of our shared humanity. We all feel that light sometimes. We all worry that we are not enough or that we are too much. But in recognizing this bias, we find a bridge to others. When you see someone else looking self-conscious, you can offer them a silent grace, knowing that they too are fighting an imaginary light. You can be the person who doesn't notice the stain, the person who ignores the stumble, and the person who sees the human beneath the...
Pain is not a direct readout of damage. It is a protective decision the nervous system makes using signals from the body and expectations from the brain. We often think of pain as a simple wire carrying a message from a stubbed toe to the skull, but the science of neurobiology reveals a much more mysterious and comforting truth. Your brain is the ultimate gatekeeper of sensation. Between the moment an injury occurs and the moment you feel it, a complex calculation takes place in the dark. The brain asks, "How dangerous is this right now?" And the answer it finds can change the physical intensity of your experience. If you believe something will help, if you feel safe, or if your attention is elsewhere, the brain can turn down the volume on pain pathways through chemical systems that dampen threat and amplify safety. This is why an athlete may keep moving through a fracture until the game ends, only feeling the full force of the injury once they are off the field and the adrenaline fades. The pain was always possible, but the brain chose to delay the delivery because in that moment survival and performance were more urgent than protection. This phenomenon is deeply tied to the placebo effect, one of the most remarkable examples of the mind-body connection. When you take a sugar pill, believing it is a powerful medicine, your brain doesn't just pretend you feel better, it actually releases endogenous opioids, natural painkillers, into your system. The expectation of relief triggers a biological response that mirrors actual pharmacology.
It is a reminder that your internal world is a powerful pharmacy capable of synthesizing comfort from belief. Researchers call this meaning response. When a situation is framed with reassurance, when a doctor speaks with warmth and confidence, or when a ritual of healing is performed, the nervous system receives a signal that the crisis is over. The threat level drops, and the body's natural defense mechanisms can finally stand down. You are not just a passive recipient of physical signals, you are an active participant in the construction of your own comfort. In the quiet of the night, this understanding of pain as a protective output rather than a sensory input can be incredibly liberating. It suggests that the discomfort we carry is not always a permanent reflection of our physical state, but a story our brain is telling to keep us safe. When we are stressed, tired, or anxious, the brain becomes hypervigilant. It turns up the sensitivity of our nerves, making ordinary sensations feel sharp or threatening. But as you lie here now, allowing your muscles to loosen and your breath to steady, you are sending a different message to your central nervous system. You are signaling that you are in a sanctuary. There are no tigers here. There is no need for high alert protection. As your brain receives this data of safety, it begins to close the gates. The volume of the world and the volume of your own body begins to drop. You are teaching your nervous system how to be still. There is a fascinating area of psychology called central sensitization, which explains how the brain can sometimes get stuck in a loop of feeling pain long after an injury has healed. It is like an alarm system that continues to ring even after the fire has been put out. The nerves become so efficient at sending threat signals that they start to fire at the slightest touch. But just as the brain can learn to be sensitive, it can also learn to be calm. Through the practice of relaxation, through the redirection of attention, and through the cultivation of a felt sense of safety, we can retrain the brain to lower its guard. We can teach the alarm to go quiet. You are doing that work right now in the most gentle way possible, simply by existing in this peaceful space and letting the day's tensions dissolve into the shadows. Consider how the context of our lives changes our physical reality. A reassuring explanation from a clinician can reduce suffering, while a frightening, unexplained symptom can make pain flare. Our beliefs act as the lens through which our biology is filtered. When we understand the why behind our sensations, the fear of the unknown disappears, and with it, much of the intensity of the experience. The brain is not a computer calculating raw data, it is a storyteller trying to make sense of a complex environment. By feeding it stories of peace, predictability, and resilience, we change the chemical climate of our bodies. We move from a state of contraction to a state of expansion. The physical boundaries of your body are not hard lines, they are soft, permeable edges that respond to the atmosphere of your mind. As you drift deeper, notice how very concept of effort is beginning to change. We often believe that to find relief, we must work for it, but in the realm of the nervous system, relief often comes from the absence of work. It comes from surrendering the need to monitor, to protect, and to anticipate. The brain is a high-energy organ, and a large portion of that energy is spent maintaining a state of readiness. When you give yourself permission to be unready, to be unshielded, and to be completely still, that energy is released. It flows back into the systems of repair and restoration. The quiet of the night is not just a lack of sound, it is a biological opportunity for your system to recalibrate. You are moving toward a state of deep, restorative coherence, where the mind and body are no longer in conflict, but are drifting together in a single, peaceful current. The architecture of sensation is also influenced by what psychologists call social signaling. When we are in the presence of someone we trust, our threshold for discomfort increases. The simple act of holding a loved one's hand can dampen the brain's response to a stressful stimulus. We are social creatures down to our very neurons, and the presence of the tribe acts as a biological buffer against the world. Even if you are alone in your room tonight, you are connected to the collective wisdom of those who have sought peace before you. You are part of a long lineage of humans who have looked at the stars and felt the same longing for quiet. Let that sense of shared humanity be a warm blanket for your mind. You are safe in the company of the night, a silent partner that has watched over every generation, offering the same invitation to rest. The mind's ability to gate pain is a testament to the incredible flexibility of human nature. We are built to endure, but we are also built to find relief. The neuroplasticity that allows us to feel deeply is the same plasticity that allows us to heal. Every breath you take is an invitation for your nervous system to reset. Every moment of stillness is a victory over the ancient urge to stay alert. The world outside may be chaotic and demanding, but inside this moment, the rules are different. You are the architect of this inner space, and you have chosen to build a room filled with soft light and steady rhythms. The signals of the day are fading, turning from sharp headlines into a distant hum until they finally disappear altogether. As the darkness grows more complete, the brain begins its nightly ritual of clearing away the debris of thought. The glymphatic system, the brain's own waste management network, is most active during these hours of deep rest. It is a physical washing of the mind, a way to start the next day with a clean slate. Just as the mind reconstructs the past and edits the spotlight of the present, the body works in the background to ensure your future is bright. You don't have to help this process. You don't have to understand it for it to work. You only have to allow it to happen. You are a living, breathing miracle of self-regulation, a system that knows how to find its way back to balance, if only to be given the chance to be still. The pain of the past, the worries of the future, and the tensions of the present are all just signals in a vast, shifting sea of consciousness. And like waves, they eventually reach the shore and break, turning back into the calm, deep water of the ocean. You are the ocean, not the wave. The sensations of the body are just weather passing over the surface, while the deep water remains undisturbed. As you sink towards sleep, feel the weightlessness of this realization. You are not your discomfort. You are not your stress. You are the silent, steady observer of it all, the one who remains when everything else falls away. The gate is closing now. The pharmacy is at peace. The story is ending in the most beautiful way possible, with the silence of a mind that has finally found its rest.
Your brain is a master of time, a constant voyager that predicts the future, then calls it perception. As you lie here in the stillness, it is helpful to realize that you are not simply a passive observer of the world around you. You are a proactive creator of it. Perception is a delicate, ongoing negotiation between incoming signals from your senses and the prior expectations stored deep within your mind. The brain is always forecasting what it is about to see, hear, and feel long before the data actually arrives. It is as if your mind is writing the script of reality a split second ahead of the performance, ensuring that your experience feels smooth, coherent, and immediate. When the sensory signals match your brain's forecast, the experience feels effortless, a seamless flow of existence that requires no conscious thought. It is only when the match is off, when the unexpected occurs, that you notice surprise.
This predictive style is the heart of human cognition, a survival mechanism that allows you to move through a fast-moving world without being overwhelmed by the sheer volume of raw data. This internal forecasting system, often called the predictive coding model in neurobiology, explains so many of the strange and beautiful ways we experience life. It is why noisy speech in a crowded room can suddenly become clear once you know the topic of conversation. Your brain uses its expectations to fill in the gaps of the sound. It is why a familiar face can be recognized instantly in a blurry, low-light photo. Your mind isn't just looking at pixels, it is projecting a known pattern onto the visual evidence. Your senses do not deliver a finished, high-definition video of the world. They deliver hints, fragments, and echoes. The brain then takes these hints and turns them into a usable, stable model of reality. Hesitation in the wild can be costly, so the brain prioritizes speed and stability over perfect, raw accuracy. The most fascinating part of this journey is that you experience only the final, polished model, the best guess that your brain has produced, rather than the complex, messy guessing process that built it. Consider the stability of the room you are in right now. To your eyes, the walls are steady, the ceiling is fixed, and the shadows are still. But in reality, your eyes are constantly darting in tiny, rapid movements called saccades. If your brain simply reported the raw visual data, the world would look like a shaky, nauseating handheld camera. Instead, your brain predicts the movement of your eyes and subtracts it from your perception, creating the illusion of a solid, unchanging environment. You are living inside a masterpiece of biological editing. This predictive power gives you meaning and speed, allowing you to catch a falling glass before you've even fully realized it was slipping, or to understand the end of a sentence before the speaker has finished their breath. You are a time traveler in the most literal sense, always living just a heartbeat into the future that your mind has already prepared for you. As you drift closer to the edges of sleep, the brain's predictive mechanisms begin to shift their focus. Throughout the day, your mind was focused on error correction, constantly updating its internal map based on the feedback from the outside world. But now, in the safety of the dark, the outside world is quiet. The incoming signals are few. In this state, the brain's internal models begin to run more freely. This is where the magic of dreams begins to take root. When the sensory input is turned down, the brain's predictions become the primary reality. The mind starts to simulate worlds without the need for external evidence. It is a testament to the sheer creative power of your nervous system. Even now, as your thoughts become more fluid and less tethered to the logic of the day, you are witnessing the brain's forecasting system in its purest, most imaginative form. There is a profound peace to be found in understanding that your brain is designed to seek stability. It wants to find patterns. It wants to make the world make sense. Even when life feels chaotic or unpredictable, your biology is working tirelessly in the background to find the thread of logic, to build a bridge of expectation that can carry you across the uncertainty. This is why routines are so soothing to the human spirit. When we follow a familiar path or perform a nightly ritual of winding down, we are feeding our brain exactly what it craves: predictable data. By reducing the prediction error in our environment, we allow our nervous system to lower its guard. The heart rate slows, the muscles soften, and the mind finally feels it is safe to stop the frantic work of forecasting danger. You are giving your brain a well-earned rest, allowing it to move from a state of high alert prediction to a state of quiet, restorative existence. The science of perception reveals how our past experiences shape our present reality. Every forecast your brain makes is based on the library of memories you have collected over a lifetime. Your expectations are built from the lessons of yesterday. This is why a walk through a forest feels different to a botanist than it does to a poet. Their brains are predicting different details, highlighting different patterns based on what they have learned to value. Your world is a reflection of your history. But because the brain is always updating its models, you are not trapped by the past. Every new moment of calm, every experience of safety, and every breath of stillness is new data that your brain is using to refine its future forecasts. You are literally retraining your mind to expect peace. By dwelling in this quiet space tonight, you are teaching your nervous system that the future is something to be met with softness rather than struggle. The architecture of expectation also influences our social lives in ways we rarely notice. We are constantly mentalizing, predicting the intentions, emotions, and next moves of the people around us. When someone's behavior aligns with our social predictions, we feel a sense of trust and connection. When they surprise us, our brain registers a spike of activity, a signal to pay closer attention and update our model of who they are. As you lie here, far from the social demands of the day, you can feel the relief of letting go of that social forecasting. You don't have to predict anyone's needs right now. You don't have to interpret any tones or scan any faces. The social mind is at rest, allowing you to return to the simple, singular experience of your own being. The only rhythm you need to follow is the steady rise and fall of your own chest. The universe, in its vast and silent organization, follows laws that are the ultimate foundation for our brain's predictions. The sun rises, the tides turn, and gravity holds us close to the earth. Your brain trusts these fundamental patterns so deeply that you never have to think about them. That deep biological trust is the bedrock of your sanity. As you sink further into the mattress, allow yourself to lean into that cosmic predictability. You are held by a system that has been steady for billions of years. The dark of the night is not a void, it is a predictable part of a beautiful cycle. Your brain knows this cycle. It knows that the night is for healing, for processing, and for the quiet reconstruction of the self. You are in perfect alignment with the laws of nature, a patient participant in the steady, organized rhythm of the world. As the spotlight of your conscious awareness grows smaller, the brain begins to integrate the day's learning into its long-term models. This is the offline work of the mind. It is taking the fragments of what you perceived and weaving them into the tapestry of your knowledge, ensuring that tomorrow's predictions are even wiser and more grounded than today's. You are becoming more resilient while you sleep. Your brain is a tireless gardener, pruning the weeds of irrelevant detail and nurturing the seeds of meaningful insight. You don't have to direct this work. You don't have to supervise it. You only have to provide the quiet environment that allows the mind to do what it was built to do. The story of your life is being refined in the shadows, becoming a narrative of strength and adaptation.
You can feel watched, even when nobody is there. This experience, which so many of us have felt in the quiet of a hallway or the stillness of a forest, reveals the deep, ancient roots of our social brain. The sense of being observed is not a trick of the light or a haunting of the air. It is tied to survival for social animals like ourselves. Across the long arc of human history, attention from others was high-priority data. It could mean danger from a predator, judgment from a peer, or the opportunity for a vital connection. Because the stakes of being noticed were so high, the human brain developed an incredibly sensitive system for gaze detection. It is an evolutionary alarm system that treats eyes as the most important signal in the environment. Your brain is constantly scanning for eye direction, head posture, and the subtle cues of body language that might signal another being's interest in you. In uncertain or dimly lit settings, that scanner can become overactive, flipping into a state of hypervigilance before you can even form a conscious explanation for why your skin is prickling. This phenomenon is often called the gaze detection mechanism, a dedicated circuit in the brain that is so specialized it can operate even in our peripheral vision. We are born with this sensitivity. Even infants show a preference for faces that are looking directly at them. It is a biological fundamental. But because our survival once depended on never being surprised by a hidden watcher, our brain is designed to prefer a false alarm over a missed signal. A creak behind you, a shadow moving in the corner of your eye, or a half-heard rustle in the grass can trigger a surge of alertness. Your heart rate climbs, and your senses sharpen as your mind tries to map a watcher onto the empty space. The feeling of being stared at is real, even if the cause is not. It is a better safe than sorry design, a protective instinct that prefers the discomfort of a false alarm to the risk of being caught unawares. In psychology, this is sometimes linked to agency detection, the tendency of the human mind to assign intention in life to the world around it. When we are alone in the dark, our brain doesn't just see a rustling curtain, it sees a someone moving the curtain. We are meaning-making machines, and the most important meaning in our evolutionary past was the presence of another living being. As you lie here now, recognize that any lingering sense of alertness is just your ancient, loyal protector doing its job. It is a testament to how deeply your biology cares about your safety. But here, in the sanctuary of your room, you can gently tell that protector that the scan is complete. The room is empty, the door is secure, and the shadows are just a play of light. You can allow that gaze detection circuit to power down, moving from a state of external scanning to a state of internal peace. The social mind is so finely tuned to detect eyes that we sometimes detect them in empty air, a process known as pareidolia. We see faces in the patterns of wood grain, in the arrangement of clouds, or in the front of a car. This is the brain's way of ensuring that it never misses a social signal, even at the cost of seeing people where there are only objects. This hypersensitivity shows up in crowded places too, where you may suddenly look up and catch someone looking at you. We often think this is a sixth sense, but it is actually a masterpiece of rapid, subconscious processing. Your brain was already tracking the orientation of every head in the room, and when it detected a pair of eyes aligned with your own, it promoted that information to your conscious awareness. You feel the hit of the gaze because your brain treats it as the most relevant information in the world. As you drift deeper into the night, think about the quiet relief of not being watched. Throughout the day, we often live under the weight of perceived eyes, the spotlight effect that makes us feel as though every move is being judged. But in the dark, that weight is lifted. There is a sacred privacy in the night, a time when you can simply be without being for anyone else. Your identity is not being mirrored back to you by the expectations of others. You are not a worker, a friend, or a stranger passing on the street.
You are just a living, breathing being in a quiet room. The social mind, which spends so much energy managing your reputation and your standing, can finally take its hands off the wheel. The eyes of the world have closed, and in their absence, you are free to unwind the tight coils of the self. The sense of being stared at has been studied extensively by researchers like Edward Titchener, who noted that while the feeling is incredibly common, it rarely stands up to the rigors of a controlled lab. This tells us something profound. The feeling is a psychological state, not a physical one. It is an emotional response to a perceived threat, a signal from the amygdala that the environment requires closer inspection. When you are tired or stressed, the amygdala becomes more reactive, making you more likely to feel watched in the silence. But by focusing on your breath, by feeling the heavy, grounding weight of your body against the mattress, you are sending a calming signal back to that emotional center. You are providing the data of safety that overrides the ancient alarm. You are teaching your nervous system that the silence is a friend, and the dark is a cloak of protection, not a hiding place for shadows. There is a beauty in this sensitivity, for it is the same system that allows us to feel the warmth of a loved one's gaze. The same neurons that scan for danger also scan for connection, for the soft, supportive look of a parent or the shared understanding of a partner. The human face is our primary landscape of meaning, and eyes are the windows through which we navigate our social world. As you prepare for sleep, let the memory of kind eyes be the last thing your social brain holds on to. Think of a time when someone looked at you with total acceptance, with a gaze that said you were safe and understood. Let that feeling of being seen in a positive way fill the room, replacing any cold, ancient instincts with a sense of warm, contemporary belonging. You are seen by the universe, not as a target of judgment, but a vital, cherished part of its design. The dark is a quiet laboratory where the brain processes the social interactions of the day. While you rest, your mind is sorting through the gazes you encountered, the words you heard, and the connections you made. It is strengthening the bonds that matter and letting the friction of the day's gazes melt away. You don't need to participate in this processing. It is a natural, biological function. Your only task is to remain in this total release, allowing the night to act as a buffer between you and the social demands of tomorrow. The social world is a vast, complex dance, and you have completed your steps for today. The music has slowed to a whisper, and the dance floor is empty and still. The universe itself is a silent observer, but it is an observer without judgment. The stars have watched over the earth for eons, their steady light a constant presence in the night sky. There is a profound peace in the realization that we are part of something so much larger than our own social worries. To the stars, your mistakes, your anxieties, and your stains are invisible. They see only the light you carry. As you sink further into the mattress, imagine yourself as a star in the vast dark, steady, bright, and perfectly at peace in your own place. You are not being watched in a way that requires you to change. You are being held in a way that allows you to be still. The ancient alarm system is finally quiet now. The gaze detection circuits have found no threats, and the amygdala has accepted the evidence of the silence. The body is moving from a state of external vigilance to a state of internal restoration. Your breath is a slow, steady tide, washing away the last traces of social tension. The eyes of the mind are turning inward, away from the world of people and towards the world of dreams. You are safe in this privacy. You are protected by the night. The storyteller in your head is falling silent, and the watcher at the gate has gone to sleep. In this absolute privacy, your self-image can finally soften. You don't need to hold your face in any particular expression. You don't need to maintain any posture. You are free to be as small or as large as you feel, to drift through the vast, empty landscapes of your own subconscious. The sense of being watched has been replaced by the sense of being held by the gravity of the earth and the silence of the room. The night is a patient and steady system, and it has no eyes but the ones you see in your own.
Humans justify choices after making them, but not before. Often, the decision happens first, and the explanation arrives second. Your brain weighs patterns, emotions, and habits at high speed, operating deep within the subconscious, where the conscious mind rarely travels. Then your awareness is handed an outcome that feels like a deliberate, logical choice. Afterward, you build a story to justify that choice, making it seem consistent with who you are and what you believe. This is known in psychology as choice blindness or post hoc rationalization. The brain is a relentless storyteller, and its favorite subject is you. It wants to believe that you are a rational, stable, and predictable being, so it creates a narrative to hide the messy, impulsive, and often random nature of our biological impulses. As you lie here, floating in the quiet, you can begin to realize that much of the pressure you feel to always be right or logical is just a story. You are allowed to simply exist beyond the need for reasons and beyond the reach of justifications. This hidden process was famously revealed in experiments where people were asked to choose between two faces they found attractive. Through a bit of sleight of hand, the researcher would switch the chosen photo with the one they had rejected. Surprisingly, most people didn't notice the swap. Instead, they would confidently explain why they preferred the person they hadn't actually picked, citing specific features, a smile, a look in the eyes, that weren't even part of their original decision. Their mind had instantly built a new bridge of logic to support a reality that didn't exist. This is the power of the storyteller in the mind. It protects our self-respect and keeps our life feeling coherent. But it also means that our reasons are often just a patch over uncertainty. The mind hates a vacuum. It would rather have a false explanation than no explanation at all. Realizing this is like stepping off a stage where you've been performing a play you didn't write. You can let the script fall away and just breathe in the dark. The storyteller's work is vital for our mental health, creating what psychologists call cognitive consonance. We need to feel that our actions align with our values, otherwise we experience the friction of cognitive dissonance. When we act in a way that doesn't fit our self-image, the brain immediately goes to work smoothing out the edges. It shifts our beliefs or invents new context until the action feels right again. This happens every day, from the small purchases we justify to the long-term paths we defend. It is a survival tool that helps us stay committed to our path, but in the stillness of the night we can see it for what it is, a beautiful protective illusion.
You don't need to defend your life tonight. You don't need to prove that your choices were the best ones. The ledgers are closed, and the story can rest. You are more than the reasons you give for being here. You are the steady, silent life that sits beneath the words. Even in dramatic neurological cases, this tendency remains. Patients with certain brain injuries will carry out actions triggered by a stimulus they can't consciously see, yet when asked why they did it, they will offer a perfectly reasonable, invented explanation. I was just getting up to stretch my legs, they might say, even if their movement was actually a response to a hidden instruction. The mind is built to keep the story moving because a moving story supports quick decisions and social confidence. It is a mechanism of momentum. But as you unwind, you can invite that momentum to slow down. You can acknowledge the mystery of your own mind without needing to solve it. The deep, silent parts of you that handle your heartbeat, your breathing, and your dreams don't need justifications. They simply perform their work with a quiet, ancient wisdom that precedes language. Choice rationalization is also a social tool. We need to be able to explain ourselves to our tribe to maintain trust and cooperation. Being able to say, "I did this because," is a way of signaling that we are reliable partners who follow rules and logic. But often, the "because" is just the costume we put on the impulse. We are moved by tides of chemistry, by the warmth of the room, by the scent of a memory, or by the subtle influence of a stranger's smile. And that is perfectly okay. The complexity of your being is too vast to be captured by a few sentences of justification. You are a forest, not a garden path. You are a sea, not a canal. As the night grows deeper, let the why of your day drift away. You don't need to be understood right now, not even by yourself. As the adrenaline of the day's decisions fades, the mind moves into a state of reflection. It begins to integrate the outcomes of your choices, not the stories you told about them. It looks at the results, the feelings, and the consequences, and it updates your internal map for tomorrow. This is the quiet, honest learning that happens while the storyteller sleeps. While you rest, your mind is becoming wiser, pruning away the justifications and keeping the raw data of experience. You are being reshaped by the night, prepared for a new day where you can act with even more grace and even less need for defense. The shadows of the room are soft, and the weight of your body is a grounding reality that needs no explanation. The universe itself offers no justifications for its movements. The stars don't explain their light, and the wind doesn't apologize for its direction. They follow laws that are silent and absolute. In this moment, you are closer to that universal state than at any other time of the day. You are a part of the patient, steady system of nature, a being that exists simply because it does. Let your mind mirror this cosmic stillness. You are the master of this sanctuary, and you have declared a truce with the voice in your head. The need to be logical is replaced by the permission to be peaceful. The need to be consistent is replaced by the freedom to be still.
Your breathing is a slow, rhythmic evidence of a life that knows exactly what it is doing. It doesn't wait for a reason to inhale, and it doesn't ask for permission to exhale. It is a master of the present moment, untethered from the past's stories and the future's plans. You are moving away from the world of reasons and into the world of being. The bed beneath you is a firm, unwavering support, holding you as you are, regardless of the choices you've made or the explanations you've built. There is no judgment in the gravity of the earth. There is only the constant, gentle invitation to let go. The storyteller in your mind is growing tired now. The words are becoming fewer, and the sentences are beginning to blur at the edges. The narrative of your day is reaching its conclusion, not because it has found a perfect ending, but because it has found the silence of sleep. The need to justify is the first thing to vanish as we drift. We enter the dream state, where logic is unnecessary and where the impossible is accepted without a second thought.
Between your eyes and the world, there is a fast, invisible editing room where your brain stitches together a reality that is far more seamless than the one you are actually seeing. As you lie here, it is strange to consider that your gaze does not move smoothly like a camera on a track. Instead, your eyes jump in quick, erratic hops called saccades, leaping from a corner of the room to the edge of a shadow, from the curve of a pillow to the glint of a window. During these jumps, you are technically blind. If your brain delivered the raw footage, the world would be a nauseating blur of motion. But your brain edits out the movement, suppressing the visual input during the jump and freezing the previous frame until the next one is ready. You never see the blur because your mind creates a persistent illusion of stability. It corrects for your blind spot, the place where the optic nerve meets the retina, and it fills that gap with a best guess based on the colors and textures nearby. You are moving through a world that has been polished, steady, and color-corrected by a biological editor that never takes a break. This process of visual construction is a testament to the brain's role as an active creator rather than a passive recorder. We often think of our eyes as windows, but they are more like sensors sending fragments of data to a master storyteller. The phenomenon of change blindness shows us how much of this editing goes unnoticed. In famous experiments, people can be engaged in a conversation with a stranger, and even if that stranger is swapped with a completely different person behind a moving barrier, a surprising number of people will continue the conversation without ever realizing the person has changed. Their brain had already rendered the scene as a person talking to me, and unless the change was critical to survival, the editor simply kept the old file running to save energy. The mind prefers a coherent story over the perfect record of details. As you unwind, you can find a deep peace in this. You don't have to track every detail of your life. You can trust your mind to hold the big picture, allowing the small, restless details to fade into the background. This invisible editing extends beyond your vision and into the very fabric of your time perception. Have you ever looked at a clock and felt for a split second that the second hand was frozen, only for it to start moving again? This is called chronostasis, a beautiful example of how the brain backdates its own editing. When your eyes jump to the clock, the brain doesn't want you to experience the gap of the jump, so it takes the first image it sees and stretches it backward in time to fill the empty space. You perceive a longer second because your mind is protecting you from the void. It is a staggering thought. Your brain is constantly manipulating your sense of time to keep your experience feeling continuous and safe.
As you lie in the quiet, you can feel that same elasticity of time beginning to work in your favor. The frantic minutes of the day are stretching out, becoming long, slow, and soft. The editing room is winding down its work, moving from the high-speed cuts of the day to the long, lingering shots of the night. In neurobiology, we see that the brain's primary goal is homeostasis, balance, and stability. To achieve this, it uses a process called sensory gating, which is the ability to filter out redundant or unnecessary stimuli. Right now, your brain is editing out the feeling of the clothes against your skin, the weight of the blankets, and the ambient hum of the house. If you noticed every sensation at once, the world would be an overwhelming roar of data. By gating these signals, your brain creates a quiet sanctuary for your consciousness. It is a natural form of focus that allows you to drift towards sleep without being tethered by the physical world. The editor is closing the curtains one by one, dimming the lights on the outside world so that the inner world can begin its own astonishing performance. You are being guided into a state of deep biological silence, where the only thing left to perceive is the rhythmic, soothing cycle of your own existence. There is a profound safety in this editing. It means that even when the world feels chaotic, your mind is working to find the order. It smooths over the gaps in a conversation, it stabilizes the motion of a bumpy ride, and it ensures that your sense of self remains constant as you change through the years. Your perception is not a live broadcast, it is a polished film, a best guess that arrives already refined so you can act without being overwhelmed. The gaps you miss aren't failures, they are the spaces where your brain allows you to rest. You don't have to be a witness to every flicker and every shadow. You are the guest of honor in a world that has been prepared specifically for your comfort. As the day's footage is filed away, the editor is shifting its attention to the dream state, where the rules of reality are even more flexible and the storytelling becomes even more wondrous. As your breathing deepens, you might feel the edges of your body beginning to blur into the mattress. This, too, is a form of editing. The brain is withdrawing its attention from the boundaries of the physical self, allowing you to feel as though you are expanding into the room. The tight focus of the day, the need to be a specific person in a specific place is dissolving. You are becoming a part of the stillness, a part of the night itself. The editing room is no longer looking for threats or tasks. It is simply enjoying the texture of the silence. The visual snapshots of the day, the emails, the traffic lights, the faces of strangers, are being dissolved in a slow, graceful transition, like ink in water. They are losing their form, turning into soft, abstract shapes that carry no weight and demand no action. The universe is also an editor of sorts, operating on a scale that dwarfs our understanding. On a cosmic level, the vast distances between stars ensure that the night sky looks stable and eternal to our eyes, even though it is filled with birth, death, and constant motion. We are protected by the scale of the universe, just as we are protected by the scale of our own minds. The distance provides a peaceful perspective. From where you are lying, the worries of the day are like distant stars, far away, silent, and incapable of reaching you. You are in the quiet space between the stars, a place of total stillness and absolute privacy. The editor of your life has found the perfect ending for this chapter: a quiet room, a heavy body, and a mind that is finally ready to let go of the script. As you move toward the threshold of sleep, the brain begins a process called synaptic scaling. It is a nightly cleaning of the editing room, where the connections made during the day are reviewed. The unimportant ones are weakened, and the vital ones are strengthened. It is a physical act of forgetting that allows you to remember what truly matters. You are being pruned and perfected while you rest. You don't need to hold on to the details of your day. The system knows what to keep and what to let go. The stories of the day are being distilled into their essence, turning into the wisdom and the resilience that will greet you in the morning. But for now, the only wisdom you need is the wisdom of surrender. The only logic you need is the logic of the breath. The dark is a soft, patient landscape that asks nothing of your vision. Your eyes, which have been working so hard to track and decode the world, can finally find their true rest. They are no longer searching for meaning. They are simply resting behind their lids, drifting in the soft, dark current of the subconscious. The editing room has finished its final cut. The story is coherent, the gaps are filled, and the stability is absolute. The world is not a series of jumps and blurs anymore. It is a single, deep, and steady tone of peace. You are safe in the hands of a mind that has been learning how to take care of you for millions of years. It knows how to bridge the shadows and how to find the light. The silence is now the only reality. The editing room is quiet, the lights are low, and the story of you is drifting into the realm of pure, unadorned being. You are not the one who does, nor the one who thinks. You are the one who remains when the doing and the thinking have stopped. The brain has polished the day into a memory, and the memory into a dream. You are crossing the bridge into the deep and astonishing landscapes of the night, where the only editor is the gravity of the stars and the rhythm of your heart. The world is stable, the mind is still, and you are finally, beautifully, at home in the dark. Sleep well and let the editing of the night carry you into the peace of tomorrow.
Memory is not a playback of a recorded life, but a reconstruction that happens anew every single time you reach back into the past. When you remember a moment from your childhood, a conversation from last year, or even what you had for breakfast this morning, you are not pressing play on a stored video file tucked away in a dusty corner of your brain. Instead, you are a stage crew assembling a set in the dark, pulling in fragments of sound, flashes of image, and the lingering weight of meaning to build a scene from scratch. The brain stores the essence of an event in scattered pieces across the cortex, the smell of lavender in one area, the sound of a laughter in another, and the emotional sting of a goodbye in a third. To remember is to gather these scattered sparks and weave them into a coherent narrative. This is known in neurobiology as reconsolidation, a process that makes our history far more flexible and fragile than we ever imagined. As you lie here, floating in the quiet, you can begin to realize that the past is not a heavy, fixed anchor. It is a living thing, a story that breathes with you, changing its shape as you grow and as you find new ways to be at peace with yourself. This reconstructive nature of memory explains why our stories often drift over time without us ever feeling the change. Each time a memory returns to the conscious mind, it becomes briefly flexible, like warm wax. While it is active, it can be influenced by your current mood, by the person you are talking to, or by a new piece of information you've learned since the event occurred. When the memory is eventually stored away again, it is saved in its revised form. A single confident suggestion from a friend, a photo you saw years later, or even the way you want to be perceived in the present can slide into the reconstruction. Over years, a memory can drift quite far from the original truth, yet it will still arrive in your mind with the same sense of absolute certainty. The brain prefers a story that is useful and coherent over a record that is perfectly accurate. It wants to give you a past that supports the person you are becoming. In the stillness of the night, there is a profound relief in this. You are not a prisoner of a fixed history. You are the narrator of a life that is always being updated with the wisdom of the present. Psychologists often compare memory to a paleontologist assembling a dinosaur from a few shards of bone. The scientist has the jaw and a piece of the tail, but they must use their knowledge of how dinosaurs work to fill in the rest of the skeleton. Your brain does the same, using your schemas, your mental maps of how the world usually works, to bridge the gaps between the fragments of truth. If you remember a birthday party but can't recall the cake, your brain might automatically supply a chocolate one because that is what you usually have. You don't realize the detail is an invention. It feels like a genuine recollection because it fits the pattern of your life. This is why our most vivid memories are often a mixture of hard facts and soft interpretations. Your mind is not a cold archive, it is a creative artist, ensuring that your life feels like a continuous, meaningful journey rather than a series of disconnected snapshots. As you unwind, let the need for perfect accuracy fall away. The past has served its purpose by bringing you to this moment of rest, and the specific details are free to blur at the edges. The science of memory reconstruction also reveals why we often remember the same event differently than the people who were there with us. Each person is building their own version of the stage, using their own unique fragments and their own emotional lens. What was a minor detail to one person might be the centerpiece of the reconstruction for another. This isn't a conflict of truth, but a testament to the diversity of the human experience. Our memories are deeply personal, shaped by the values and the fears we carry. As the day's social friction melts away, you can find peace in the realization that you don't need to fight for the correct version of history. Your story is yours, and it is allowed to be colored by the softness and the kindness you choose to give it tonight. The ledgers of the past are being put away, and the ink is free to fade into the gentle shadows of the room. There is a specific beauty in how the brain handles flashbulb memories, those moments of intense emotion or global significance that feel as though they were frozen in time. While these memories feel more stable than others, research shows they are subject to the same reconstruction and drift as any ordinary afternoon. We tell the story so often that the story itself becomes the memory. We remember the last time we told it, rather than the event itself. This is the mind's way of keeping our most important lessons close to the surface, even if the edges of the truth have been smoothed over by the years. As you drift closer to sleep, feel the weight of these big stories beginning to lighten. They don't need to be rehearsed tonight. They don't need to be defended. They can simply exist as part of the vast, quiet landscape of your soul, moving like clouds across a dark sky. In the realm of neurobiology, memory is also an energy-saving tool. The brain doesn't store every detail because that would be a massive drain on our biological resources. Instead, it stores the gist, the meaning, and the consequence of the event. It keeps the lesson and lets go of the noise. This is why we can remember the feeling of a childhood summer, the heat, the sense of freedom, the smell of grass, without remembering every single day. The gist is what allows us to navigate the world with wisdom. You are a collection of these essential truths, a person built from the distilled essence of 1,000 different experiences. Tonight, the work of distilling is done. The brain is shifting from the active reconstruction of the past to the quiet maintenance of the self. You are being cleared of the day's clutter, leaving only the steady, core rhythm of who you are. The flexibility of memory is also what allows for healing. Because the past is rebuilt in the present, we can change our relationship to it. through reflection, through therapy, or through the simple passage of time and the finding of peace, we can reconstruct a traumatic or difficult memory with the added elements of safety and resilience. We can weave in the knowledge that we survived, that we are safe now, and that the storm has passed. The memory still exists, but its texture changes. It becomes a part of our strength rather than a source of our pain. As you lie in the safety of your blankets, you are performing this healing work in its most natural form. You are bathing your history in the quiet, restorative light of the present moment. You are signaling to your brain that the story has reached a chapter of total safety. As your breathing grows slower and more rhythmic, notice how the very idea of the past is starting to feel distant. In the state of deep relaxation, the timeline of your life begins to collapse into a single, peaceful point. There is no then and there is no next. There is only the feeling of the air, the heaviness of your limbs, and the absolute stillness of the room. The reconstructive engine of the brain is slowing down, moving from the active reconstruction of the past to the simple task of maintaining the dark. The stage crew has gone home, the lights are out, the theater is empty and quiet. You are the silent space that remains when the play of memory has finished its run. The universe also operates on a principle of reconstruction. The light we see from distant stars is a reconstruction of an event that happened millions of years ago, traveling across the void to reach our eyes. The atoms that make up your body were once forged in the hearts of stars, reconstructed through eons of cosmic cycles to become the person you are tonight. You are a living history of the universe, a magnificent assembly of ancient pieces. There is a profound stability in this cosmic reconstruction. You are part of a steady, organized system that knows how to hold its fragments together. As you sink further into the mattress, let that universal stability be your foundation. You are not just a collection of fragile memories. You are a durable, beautiful manifestation of the universe's own memory. The process of reconsolidation is a nightly
You feel emotions in your body before you can even name them. Your heart rate shifts, your breathing changes, and your muscles tighten or loosen, and only afterward does your mind decide what the feeling is called. This is because emotion begins as raw body data, a physiological signal sent from the depths of your nervous system to the high chambers of your brain. Your brain is constantly reading signals from the gut, the chest, the skin, and the face, and then it tries to make sense of them in context. This is known in psychology as the James Lange theory of emotion, the idea that our physical response to a stimulus actually precedes the conscious feeling. You do not run because you are afraid, you feel afraid because your brain notices you are running. As you lie here, floating in the gentle dark, you can begin to realize that your emotions are not mysterious clouds that descend upon you, but rather a conversation between your heart and your mind, a biological language that you are learning to listen to with kindness and patience. This process of interpreting body data is a masterpiece of cognitive construction. That is why the exact same physical sensations can become excitement before a first date or dread before a hard conversation. The racing heart, the shallow breath, and the butterflies in the stomach are the same raw ingredients, but the brain applies a different label based on the story it is currently telling. The body speaks in sensations, not labels. The label arrives when the brain matches the pattern to a story. This is also why you can sometimes feel unsettled or anxious without knowing why.
Your body has detected a shift in its internal chemistry, perhaps a drop in blood sugar or a reaction to a distant sound, and your brain is still searching for the right word to explain it. In the stillness of the night, there is a profound peace in this. You are not your labels. You are the living, breathing landscape beneath the names, a vast and steady sea that remains calm even when the surface ripples with sensation. In the realm of neurobiology, this is often called interoception, the sense of the internal state of the body. Some people are more tuned in to these signals than others, but we all rely on this data to navigate our social and emotional worlds. Your brain uses these signals to create a feeling state that guides your decisions. If your stomach tightens when you walk into a certain room, your brain is using that data to signal caution. But because the brain is a storyteller, it can sometimes misinterpret the data. It can mistake the fatigue of a long day for the sadness of a lost opportunity, or the caffeine of an extra cup of coffee for the jitters of a looming deadline. As you unwind, you can practice a gentle detachment from these labels. You can notice the tightness in your shoulders or the weight in your chest and simply call it energy or sensation without needing to attach a story of worry or regret. The body is just a vessel for these shifting tides, and the night is a place where the tide can finally go out. Naming a feeling can often bring immediate relief because it gives the brain a sense of control. Once the brain has a name, it can choose a response. This is the name it to tame it phenomenon, where the act of labeling an emotion reduces the activity in the amygdala, the brain's emotional alarm center. It is like turning on a light in a dark room. The shapes are still there, but they are no longer frightening. But tonight, you don't even need to do that work. You don't need to name anything. You can let the sensations move through you, like weather moving through a valley. The lightning of a sharp thought, the rain of a heavy memory, and the wind of a restless urge are all just passing through. They do not define the valley. They are just visitors. You are the steady earth, the enduring mountains, and the deep, silent stone that remains unchanged by the storms. The science of embodied cognition also reveals how our physical posture can influence our emotional climate. Just as a feeling can lead to a slumped posture can feed a feeling of low energy back to the brain. But as you lie in this horizontal, open, and relaxed state, you are sending a powerful signal of safety to your mind. By unclenching your jaw, softening your brow, and letting your hands rest loosely by your sides, you are telling your brain that the day's battle is over. You are providing the data of peace. The brain, ever the loyal interpreter, receives these signals of physical surrender and begins to release the neurochemicals of rest, melatonin, adenosine, and GABA. You are chemically rewriting your emotional state, moving from the high-octane drive of the day to the slow, deep pulses of the night. There is a profound safety in the realization that your emotions have a physical beginning and a physical end. Like any biological process, an emotion is a wave that has a peak and a trough. It rises, it reaches its maximum intensity, and then it inevitably dissolves. The only thing that keeps an emotion lingering longer than its natural life is the story we tell to keep it alive. When we stop the narration, the emotion returns to the body as simple, neutral data, and then it fades away. As you drift closer to sleep, you can feel these waves becoming smaller and smaller. The emotional weather of the day is clearing, leaving behind a sky that is vast, dark, and filled with the steady light of the stars. You are moving into a space where labels are unnecessary, where you can simply be a part of the quiet, organized system of nature. The universe also speaks in sensations that precede our understanding. The coolness of the air on your skin, the pull of gravity on your limbs, and the rhythmic sound of your own heart are all ancient signals of belonging. You are a part of the world's own body, a cell in the vast organism of the cosmos. There is a deep biological trust in this connection. The earth doesn't ask you to name your feelings before it holds you. It simply provides the gravity. The night doesn't require an emotional summary of your day before it gives you the dark. It simply provides the shadow. You are held by these fundamental physical truths, safe in a system that precedes all human language and all human worry. As your awareness begins to blur, the distinction between the mind and the body starts to disappear. You are becoming a single, unified flow of experience. The thoughts are becoming sensations, and the sensations are becoming dreams. The storyteller in your head is putting down the dictionary. The need to categorize and define is being replaced by the simple, heavy reality of sleep. You are crossing the threshold into the wordless landscapes of the subconscious, where emotions are expressed in the vivid imagery of the dream, untethered from the logic of the waking world. Here you are free to feel everything and nothing all at once, drifting in the soft, warm current of the night. The dark is a patient and steady listener to the body's quiet song. It hears the slowing of the pulse, the deepening of the breath, and the soft release of the muscles. It doesn't demand a translation. It only asks you to exist. The social world, with its complex emotional demands and its constant need for interpretation, is far away. Here there is no one to perform for, and no one to explain yourself to. You are in the ultimate sanctuary of the self, a place where the only truth is the steady, unhurried passage of time. You are protected by the stillness, and you are nourished by the silence. As the day's emotional data is processed and filed away, your brain is busy clearing the pathways for tomorrow. It is taking the raw sensations and turning them into the resilience and the wisdom you will carry when you wake. You are being restored in the deepest, most biological sense of the word. You don't have to help this process. You don't have to monitor it. You only have to allow it to happen. The story of your day has reached its final peaceful chapter. The labels are gone, the names are forgotten, the sensations are turning into the soft, hazy light of a fading dream. The world of the body is finally at peace. The heart has found its steady, resting rhythm. The breath is a slow, easy tide. The mind is a quiet room where the lights have been dimmed. You are moving away from the world of feeling and into the world of being. And being is a quiet room, a heavy body, and a soul that is finally ready to let go of the names. You are safe in the wordless dark, a part of the patient, steady system that knows how to care for its.
Smells can unlock forgotten memories faster than photographs can. A scent can pull you backward in time with startling speed, bypassing the logical filters of the brain to drop you directly into a moment you haven't thought about in years. One breath of old paper and you are back in a sun-drenched library of your youth. A whiff of pine and you are standing in a forest from a decade ago. This is known in psychology as the Proustian moment, named after the writer who famously described how a tea-soaked Madeleine cake triggered a flood of childhood recollections. Unlike vision or hearing, the sense of smell has a privileged direct route into the brain's emotional architecture. Most sensory data must pass through the thalamus, the brain's switchboard, before being processed, but aromatic molecules travel straight to the olfactory bulb, which is physically and neurologically intertwined with the amygdala and the hippocampus. These are the regions responsible for emotion and memory. When you smell something familiar, you aren't just remembering a fact, you are re-experiencing a feeling. As you lie here, floating in the gentle dark, you can begin to realize that your life is not just a timeline of dates, but a sensory map of experiences, waiting quietly in the shadows to offer you comfort and connection. This unique neurological bypass explains why scents can trigger whole scenes without the need for language. A photo often invites analysis. You look at the image, you interpret the clothes, you search your mind for the year. But a smell skips that analytical process entirely. It drops the memory on your lap, complete with the mood, the temperature of the air, and the specific emotional texture of the time. It is an ancient form of communication, a bridge between your current self and every person you have ever been. That is why certain perfumes feel like a person who is no longer in the room, and why the smell of rain on hot pavement can carry the weight of an entire season. The brain stores smells as chemical signatures of moments, and when the signature returns, the moment returns with it. In the stillness of the night, there is a profound peace in this. You carry your history not as a burden, but as a collection of hidden treasures, reachable with a single deep breath of the night air. The science of olfactory memory also reveals why these recollections are often more vivid and emotionally charged than those triggered by sight or sound. Because the olfactory system is so close to the heart of our emotional processing, the memories it unlocks are rarely neutral. They are charged with the essence of what that moment meant to us. This is a survival tool from our evolutionary past. Our ancestors needed to remember the smell of fire, the scent of a predator, or the aroma of safe food with absolute clarity. Today, that same system helps us maintain our sense of self. It connects our present to our past, providing a thread of continuity that runs through the decades. As you unwind, you can trust in this continuity. You don't need to try to remember. Your biology is already holding the essence of your journey, keeping the stories of your life safe in the quiet folds of your mind. As you drift deeper, consider how smell can be used to anchor your own sense of safety. Just as a scent can bring back a distant memory, it can also create a new sanctuary in the present. The smell of clean sheets, the faint aroma of a familiar tea, or even the neutral, cooling scent of the night air are all signals to your nervous system that you are in a place of rest. The brain is always scanning for safety signals, and the nose is one of its most reliable scouts. By breathing deeply and slowly in this quiet space, you are confirming to your brain that the air is clear and the environment is secure. The amygdala, receiving this chemical peace, can finally soften its grip. The high-frequency alerts of the day are being replaced by the slow, steady rhythm of the night. You are moving from a state of external scanning to a state of internal restoration. The world of scent is also a world of deep, wordless connection to the earth. Every plant, every stone, and every season has its own chemical voice. The damp earth of autumn, the sharp salt of the sea, and the sweet, heavy air of summer are all part of the universe's own storytelling. When we breathe in these scents, we are participating in a conversation that is millions of years old. We are remembering our place in the patient, steady system of nature.
Tonight, the room around you has its own quiet scent, the smell of home, of safety, and of a day that has reached its conclusion. Let these familiar aromas be a soft blanket for your mind. You are held by the physical reality of your surroundings, safe in a world that knows your name, even in the dark. The phenomenon of olfactory imagery shows us that even the thought of a smell can trigger a shift in our brain's activity. If you imagine the scent of a fresh orange or the smell of a wood-burning fire, your brain begins to simulate the experience, bringing with it the associated feelings of brightness or warmth. As you lie here, you can use this power to curate your own inner landscape. You can imagine the scents that bring you the most peace, the smell of a garden after rain, the aroma of a kitchen filled with warmth, or the crisp, clean air of a mountain peak. You are the master of this internal atmosphere. You are using the ancient pathways of your brain to build a sanctuary of scent, a place where the air is always soft and the memories are always kind. In the realm of neurobiology, smell is linked to our social bonds. We recognize the unique scent print of the people we love, a subtle chemical signal that fosters trust and reduces stress. It is a silent language of belonging. Even in the absence of others, the familiar smells of your own environment act as a social buffer, reminding your brain that you are in your own territory, surrounded by the objects and the history that define you. The night is a time when these subtle signals become more apparent. The noise of the world has faded away, and the visual clutter has disappeared, leaving behind the pure sensory essence of your home. You are sinking into the safety of the known, a place where the air itself is an invitation to let go. As your awareness begins to blur, the distinction between the outside and the inside starts to soften. The breath you take in is part of the world, and the air you let out returns to it. You are a part of the steady, unhurried exchange of the atmosphere. The brain's olfactory bulb, which has been working all day to categorize and analyze every scent, is now shifting into its nightly maintenance mode. It is no longer looking for new signals, it is simply enjoying the stability of the current ones. The world is quiet, the air is still. The chemistry of the night is a perfect lullaby for a mind that is finally ready to let go. The dark is a patient and steady curator of the senses. It doesn't demand that you see the path or hear the music. It only asks you to breathe. The social world, with its frantic demands and its constant need for performance, is far away. Here there is no one to impress and nothing to prove. You are in the ultimate sanctuary of the self, a place where the only reality is the slow, deep rhythm of your own life. You are protected by the stillness, and you are nourished by the silence. Your memory is no longer a task to be managed, but a garden to be visited in dreams. As the day's sensory data is processed and filed away, your brain is busy clearing the pathways for tomorrow. It is taking the raw experiences and turning them into the resilience and the wisdom you will carry when you wake. You are being restored in the deepest, most biological sense. You don't have to help this process, you only have to allow it to happen. The story of your day has reached its final peaceful chapter. The labels are gone, the sounds are forgotten. The scents of the day are turning into the soft, hazy light of a fading dream. The world of the nose is finally at peace. The breath is a slow, easy tide washing over the internal landscapes of the mind. The brain is a quiet room where the lights have been dimmed and the air is cool.
You are moving away from the world of detecting into the world of being. And being.
People trust confident speakers even when they are wrong. Confidence sounds like knowledge, and the brain often treats it that way because we are wired to seek out clear signals in a world of ambiguity. When we hear a voice that moves smoothly, a story that lands cleanly, and a speaker who never hesitates, our internal filters often soften, allowing the message to enter our minds as credible before a single claim has been checked or verified. This is known in social psychology as the confidence heuristic, a mental shortcut that equates the certainty of a person's delivery with the accuracy of their information. In the quiet of the night, as you lie here unwinding, it is a staggering thought to realize how much of our social world is built on the performance of certainty. Your brain, in its constant search for safety and leadership, naturally gravitates toward those who sound sure of the path, even if they're navigating by the same flickering light as everyone else. You can find a deep restorative peace in this realization. You don't have to be the one who is always sure. You are allowed to be a seeker, to be uncertain, and to find rest in the mystery of not having all the answers. In groups, this effect of confidence becomes even stronger. We look to confidence as a shortcut for deciding who to follow, especially when the topic is complex or the stakes feel urgent. Our ancestors survived by aligning themselves with leaders who could make decisive calls in the face of danger. That evolutionary legacy remains within us today, making a steady tone and a firm gaze feel like a beacon of safety. However, the problem lies in the fact that confidence can be produced by many things besides raw accuracy. Practice, social status, personal charm, and even sheer boldness can generate the same biological signals as true expertise. Meanwhile, a careful thinker, someone who pauses to qualify their statements, who reflects on the nuances, and who admits the limits of their knowledge, may be mistaken for being weak or uninformed. The mind wants a guide that sounds sure, and it sometimes chooses certainty over truth. But here, in the sanctuary of the night, the need for guides is gone. You are the master of your own quiet space, and the only voice that matters is the soft, honest whisper of your own breath. This bias toward confidence also shapes our internal narrator. We often judge our value based on how sure we feel about our choices, forgetting that a lack of certainty is often a sign of high intelligence and deep reflection. If you feel the weight of second-guessing your day, recognize it not as a flaw, but as your brain's way of being thorough. The most accurate map is rarely the simplest one. As you drift closer to sleep, you can release the burden of needing to sound sure, even to yourself. You are moving into the realm of the subconscious, where the rigid structures of right and wrong begin to dissolve into the fluid imagery of dreams. There is no one to perform for tonight, and there is no truth to defend. You are simply a part of the steady, unhurried passage of time, a life that is valuable simply because it exists, not because it is certain. The neurobiology of persuasion shows that when we are tired or overwhelmed, our reliance on the confidence heuristic increases. The brain's System 2, the part of us that does the heavy lifting of critical thinking and fact-checking, requires a great deal of metabolic energy. When that energy is low at the end of a long day, we default to System 1, the fast, intuitive part of the mind that loves shortcuts. We become more susceptible to the rhythm of a confident voice and the smoothness of a well-told tale. But as you lie here now, you are turning off the engines of persuasion altogether. You are retracting your attention from the world of claims and arguments. You are creating a vacuum where no one's confidence can reach you. The silence of the room is the only authority now, and it is an authority that asks for nothing but your surrender to the dark. This social bias also explains why misinformation can spread so effectively. A lie told with absolute conviction often carries more weight than a truth told with a hesitant maybe. The brain craves the hit of dopamine that comes with the resolution of uncertainty. A confident speaker provides that resolution, giving the mind a place to rest. But tonight, your rest is coming from a much deeper source. It is coming from the biological certainty of the night itself, the knowledge that the earth will keep turning and the air will keep flowing. You don't need a confident speaker to tell you that you are safe. Your own body is telling you that through the heaviness of your limbs and the slowing of your pulse. The biological truth of your existence is far more reliable than any social performance. As your breathing grows even slower, consider the quiet dignity of the careful pause. In a world that rewards the fast and the loud, the pause is a sacred space of integrity. It is the moment where the mind checks its work and honors the complexity of reality. You are in a long, beautiful pause right now. The entire night is a qualification of the day, a time to reflect, to soften the edges of your convictions, and to realize that the most important truths are often the quietest ones. The stars do not shout their positions, they simply glow in the dark. The gravity that holds you to the bed does not explain its logic, it simply holds you. You are in harmony with these silent, confident forces of nature, moving toward a state of being where words are no longer necessary. The brain's reward system, which usually lights up in response to social approval and winning an argument, is now shifting its focus towards the internal work of restoration. While you sleep, your mind is not looking for who to follow or who to believe. It is busy clearing the neural pathways and strengthening the memories that will help you navigate tomorrow. It is a self-contained system of wisdom. You don't have to be confident tonight. You only have to be present. The storyteller in your head is putting down the script of the day's conversations, letting go of the need to have the last word or the most certain stance. The silence is an invitation to be humble, to be soft, and to be whole. In the realm of the subconscious, confidence is replaced by wonder. In your dreams you will navigate landscapes that make no logical sense, yet you will move through them with a different kind of trust, a trust in the flow of the experience itself. This is the mind's true home. As you cross the threshold into sleep, you are leaving behind the social competition for certainty. You are moving into a vast, open landscape where the only law is the rhythm of the soul. The pressure to appear knowledgeable, to be consistent, and to be right is melting away like mist in the morning sun. You are free to be a mystery, even to yourself. The dark is a soft, patient listener that doesn't care about your status or your certainty. It only cares about your stillness. The social world, with its frantic debates and its constant demand for confidence, is far away, a distant shore with whose noise is finally fading into the mist. Here there is only the cool air, the warm blankets, and the steady, unhurried passage of time. You are safe in this wordless place. You are protected by the stillness. And as you fade into the astonishing story of your own subconscious, remember that the best parts of you have no need for confidence. They are the parts that know how to breathe, how to dream, and how to rest. As the day's social signals are processed and filed away, your brain is busy clearing the pathways for tomorrow. It is taking the raw data of your interactions and turning them into the resilience and the quiet wisdom you will carry when you wake. You are being restored in the deepest, most biological sense. You don't have to help this process. You only have to allow it to happen.
The story of your day has reached its final peaceful chapter. The labels are gone, the voices are forgotten, the confidence of the world is turning into the soft, hazy light of a fading dream. The world of talk is finally at peace. The breath is a slow, easy tide washing over the internal landscapes of the mind. The brain is a quiet room where the lights have been dimmed and the air is cool. You are moving away from the world of convincing into the world of being. And being is a quiet room, a heavy body, and a soul that is finally ready to let go of the names. You are safe in the wordless dark, a part of the patient, steady system that knows how to care of its own. Sleep now in the perfect silence of the night, and let the quiet, honest rhythm of your heart carry you into the beauty of a new morning. Good night, and peace.
A single bad experience weighs more than many good. Your mind treats a threat like a headline and safety like background music. One harsh comment can replay in your thoughts for days, echoing through the corridors of your memory, while a dozen kind ones fade quietly into the mist by evening. This is not because you are ungrateful or because you choose to be unhappy. It is because your brain is built to learn from danger fast. This phenomenon is known in psychology as negativity bias, a powerful evolutionary adaptation that prioritized survival over pleasure. In the ancient world, forgetting where you found a patch of sweet berries was a minor inconvenience, but forgetting where you encountered a predator was a fatal mistake. Because the stakes of failure were so high, the human nervous system developed a specialized alarm system that gives negative events an outsized weight in our perception. As you lie here, floating in the gentle stillness of the night, you can begin to realize that the heaviness you sometimes carry is not a reflection of the world's coldness, but a testament to your brain's ancient, loyal desire to keep you safe. You can find a profound peace in this. The shadows in your mind are just your biology's way of holding a shield, and here, in the sanctuary of this room, you can finally invite that shield to be lowered. This negative weighting shows up in your relationships, your work, and your very self-image. A single awkward moment at a social gathering can become a defining story that you tell yourself, while years of steady competence and warm connection feel ordinary, almost invisible. We treat our successes as the expected baseline, but we treat our setbacks as urgent emergencies that require endless analysis. The brain is a high-performance threat detector, always scanning the horizon for what might go wrong, because preventing harm is more urgent to our primitive centers than collecting pleasure. This is why we ruminate on the one person who didn't like us rather than the 20 who did. The brain is trying to solve the threat, to extract a lesson that will prevent the pain from happening again. But in the quiet of the night, the problem-solving is done. The world is at rest, and the threats of the day have no power here. You can acknowledge the bias of your mind with a gentle, knowing smile and let the headlines of the day dissolve into the soft rhythm of your breathing. In the realm of neurobiology, this bias is rooted in the amygdala, the brain's emotional smoke detector. When we experience something negative, the amygdala uses a massive amount of neural real-time to etch that experience into our memory. It is like a hot iron pressing a mark into wax. Positive experiences, however, tend to be processed lightly. They are like a breeze passing through a field of tall grass. To turn a good moment into a lasting memory, we often have to savor it deliberately,
holding it in our awareness for several seconds to allow the neural pathways to form. This is why the world can sometimes feel harsher than it truly is. You are looking through a lens that has been tinted by 1,000,000 years of survival instincts. But as you unwind, you can consciously shift that lens. You can allow the warmth of the blankets, the steady beat of your heart, and the absolute safety of this moment to be your new headlines. You are retraining your nervous system to recognize that safety is not just the absence of a threat, it is a rich, physical reality that deserves your full attention. The twist of negativity bias is that it can distort your sense of reality over time. You might believe a place is unfriendly because of one sharp encounter, or believe you are failing because one single day went badly. The mind builds a narrative around the headlines and ignores the vast, quiet evidence of your resilience. It is like judging a whole forest by one broken branch. As you drift deeper into the night, you can choose to look at the whole forest. Think of the countless times things went right today. The lights that turned green, the breath that came easily, the gravity that held you steady. These are the good events that are so consistent we forget to name them. They are the silent foundation of your life. By giving them space in your mind right now, you are rebalancing the ledger. You are moving from a state of hypervigilance to a state of deep, biological gratitude. This bias also explains why it takes so much effort to build trust and so little to break it. A relationship is like a garden that requires daily watering and sun, but a single frost can leave a lasting mark. We are wired to be cautious. However, knowing this gives you a flashlight in the dark. You can see your own reactions for what they are, biological echoes of the past. When you feel a negative thought looping, you can say to yourself, "This is just my brain trying to protect me, but right now I am safe." That small recognition creates a gap, a space where you can choose to let the thought go. You are the master of this inner landscape, and you have declared a sanctuary. The alarms have been silenced, and the air is clear. As your breathing grows even slower, consider the quiet resilience of the human spirit. Despite this ancient bias toward the negative, we still seek out beauty, we still find joy, and we still offer kindness. We are more than our instincts. You are a consciousness that can observe its own biases and choose to find rest anyway. The night is a long, beautiful pause that allows the safety music to be finally heard. It is the time when the background becomes the foreground. The steady, organized system of your body is working perfectly, managing millions of processes without a single error. That is the true headline of your existence. You are a miracle of coordination and life, resting in a universe that provides everything you need to recover. The brain's plasticity means that we are not stuck with our biases. While the negativity bias is a default setting, we can build new pathways through the practice of presence. By lingering in the feeling of enough warmth, enough air, enough stillness, you are literally changing the architecture of your brain. You are making the safety more sticky. As you sink further into the mattress, feel that stickiness. Feel how the bed holds you without asking for anything in return. Feel how the dark protects your privacy. This is the data your brain needs to hear. It is the evidence that the world is a place where you can let go. The headlines of the day were just flickering shadows on a wall. The wall itself is solid, steady, and silent. The storyteller in your head is finally moving past the conflict and toward the resolution. The narrative of the day is being edited, not to erase the hard moments, but to place them in their proper context. They were just small parts of a much larger, much more astonishing story of persistence. As the active mind falls silent, the subconscious takes over, weaving the day's experiences into the fabric of your wisdom. It is taking the bad experiences and turning them into the strength you will use tomorrow, and it is taking the good experiences and turning them into the peace you are feeling right now. You don't have to manage this archive, you only have to be the space where it happens. The dark is a soft, patient curator that understands the weight you carry. It doesn't ask you to be perfect or to have a day filled only with sunshine. It accepts the shadows too. In the dark, everything is balanced. The sharp lines of the day's worries are blurred, and the intensity of the headlines is dimmed. You are moving into a realm where there is no good or bad, only the deep, restorative pulse of the night. The social world, with its judgments and its critiques, is millions of miles away. Here you are just a living being, breathing in the quiet, safe in the knowledge that you have survived every single bad day you have ever had. Your record of making it through is perfect. As the edges of your awareness begin to fade, the negativity bias loses its grip entirely. In the world of dreams, the brain explores all possibilities without the heavy hand of fear. It is a place of total freedom. You are crossing the threshold now.
You can learn fears without ever experiencing danger yourself. Fear is contagious in a way that makes deep evolutionary sense. You do not need to touch a snake to learn to keep your distance, and you do not need to crash to become nervous in a car. Watching someone else flinch, hearing a story told with terror, or simply growing around anxious reactions can teach your nervous system what to avoid. This is known in psychology as observational learning or vicarious conditioning. The brain treats social information as evidence of reality. If the people around you react as if something is dangerous, your body can begin rehearsing that danger too, mirroring the stress response and storing the warning as if it were your own memory. Over time, the fear becomes a habit, a quiet background noise in the mind, and the original source of the warning can be forgotten. This is one reason phobias can appear without a clear cause, and why fears can spread through groups like a ripple on a dark pond. As you lie here, floating in the gentle stillness, you can begin to realize that many of the anxieties you carry may not even belong to you. They are simply echoes of stories you heard or shadows you saw in others. You can find a profound peace in this. You can choose to return these borrowed fears to the wind, realizing that here, in the sanctuary of this moment, you are perfectly safe. The social mind is a mirror, constantly reflecting the emotions of the tribe to ensure the group stays coordinated and safe. But this mirror can also trap us in cycles of worry that aren't grounded in our own experience. In neurobiology, this is linked to mirror neurons, specialized cells that fire both when we perform an action and when we observe someone else doing it. When we see fear in another's eyes, our own amygdala may spark in sympathy, preparing the body for a threat we cannot see. It is a testament to how deeply we are connected to one another. But as you unwind tonight, you can practice a gentle detachment. You can recognize that while empathy is a gift, you do not have to carry every alarm that has ever been sounded in your presence. You are an individual, held by the steady, organized system of your own life. The calm can spread just as easily as the fear. When someone you trust moves through a situation safely, Your brain collects that as evidence as well. Tonight, let the silence of this room be your evidence. Let the steady rhythm of your breathing be the story you tell your nervous system. Learning travels in both directions, and tonight you are learning the deep biological language of peace. As we come to the end of our journey tonight, you may notice your thoughts moving a little differently now, like a room after the lights have been dimmed. We have wandered through the hidden habits of the mind, the filters of mood, the reconstruction of memory, and the ancient spotlights of our attention. We explored how the brain predicts the future, justifies our choices in the shadows, and how the body speaks in a language of sensation long before the mind finds the words. Taken together, these ideas paint a picture of a mind that is not broken, not careless, but beautifully human. A mind that predicts, protects, adapts, and sometimes misleads, all in service of helping you move through a complex world. You are not a machine built for perfect accuracy. You are a living system shaped by connection, meaning, and experience. If you have enjoyed these gentle journeys through the wonders of psychology and brain science, I invite you to like, subscribe, or share a thought below. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. Now there is no need to hold on to any of it. Let the thoughts and the facts blur at the edges, turning from sharp ideas into a soft golden haze. Allow your jaw to unclench, let your shoulders drop, and feel the heavy, grounding weight of your body as it sinks further into the mattress. The day has loosened its grip. The storyteller in your head has put down the pen, and the watcher at the gate has finally gone to sleep. If you are still awake and curious, another video will be waiting for you on the screen, ready to carry you onward into the next quiet exploration. But for now, rest. Let the thoughts settle where they land, like leaves drifting to the surface of still water. You are safe, you are held, and you are free to fade into the astonishing story of your own subconscious. Good night.